Welcome to our brand new podcast, very first episode. Friends fascinated with fiber and other shit.
Literally and figuratively. So if you are not ready at some point during this podcast to talk about poop, this may not be the podcast for you.
But honestly, it should be, because we're about ready to make fiber the most interesting thing in your life.
That is a very bold claim, but honestly, I think we have what it takes to back it up.
All right, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Karissa. I'm a registered dietitian, fiber enthusiast, and apparently someone who spends way too much time thinking about my love for fiber.
And I'm Crystal. I'm also a registered dietitian, and I am also obsessed with gut health, maybe slightly more socially appropriate in how I talk about it sometimes.
Debatable, highly debatable. And this is our mascot, Tally. And she will pop in from time to time and do whatever she pleases.
She is also a fiber enthusiast, if you were wondering. We both work in health and wellness, and somewhere along the way, we realized people are wildly underestimating fiber, which is shocking.
Yeah, fiber does so much for us, right? It is the unsung hero, and it deserves way more credit. It's interesting because protein gets all the credit. When you think about it, there's no fiber and protein. So the more protein you're eating, very likely you're eating less fiber. And that's a concern. Carbohydrates, they get all the controversy, right? And that had its redemption arc.
Going back to protein, you telling me this carnivore diet is not going to give you all this fiber?
It's shocker. It's not going to. It will be very hard to. It's not impossible. It will be very hard to. But then there's fiber. So fiber's just sitting in the corner like, I literally keep you alive, but okay. Here's the thing. I am fascinated with fiber. True story.
She really is. That is not an exaggeration. If you go in her freezer right now, she probably has 12 bowls of bean soup.
It's not sexy. I get it. It's not trendy. No one's out here like, hey, baby, what's your fiber intake on a first date?
People listening, if you are talking about fiber on your first date, please call us. We want to meet them and maybe invite them someday.
Hey, you know what? We want to know more. Fiber, it impacts everything. Your gut, your heart, your metabolism, your energy, and even your mood.
Well, what do you think? People are getting half the fiber they're supposed to get?
Maybe. If we're lucky. Yet nobody's talking about it in a way that's actually fun and relatable. And if there are people, please keep doing what you do. I love it. The more, the merrier. But I haven't really found anybody. And so that's what we're here to do.
So naturally, we said, let's make fiber sexy.
Yeah.
We said it out loud and everything, more than just once.
Because here's my mission. I want fiber to get the recognition it deserves. I want people to understand it. And honestly, I want people to respect it and feel comfortable incorporating it into their diet that doesn't have consequences. So we'll cover fun fiber facts, gut health tips, random wellness topics, and probably some life stories we shouldn't share.
Things like when I worked as a long-term care dietitian. Maybe those aren't exactly the most appropriate to share, but I'm going to share some of them.
We want you to feel like you're just hanging out with us.
Yeah, just friends hanging out, like you're in a group chat, but slightly more educational group chat than what are we all doing Friday night.
Let's kick off our very first fun fiber fact.
Did you know fiber doesn't just help you go to the bathroom? It actually feeds the good bacteria in your gut.
It does, yes. Fiber is basically the favorite meal of your gut microbiome.
So when you're eating fiber, you're not just literally feeding yourself. You're feeding all of this.
Trillions of tiny organisms living inside of you. I hope that helps you sleep better at night.
That sounds super creepy, but it's actually amazing.
And those bacteria, they help with digestion, immunity, inflammation, even mental health. And this is where I get so excited. Fiber equals tiny gut army equals better health.
Let's do a quick pivot. What's something fun or random from your week?
Ramping up for this week's podcast, I honestly have been thinking about creative ways to add a little bit more fiber to my diet.
That is shocking.
I know. Nobody's shocked. But let's just say In doing so, there was an adjustment period.
The ever famous fiber ramp up consequences.
Yes, it does happen. Important lessons don't go from 0 to 30 grams overnight. Not that I did, but sometimes even the slightest amount, you just have to be careful. And again, we're here to share with you creative ways in which you can make that happen and why some people it's a little bit more disruptive than others.
Your gut can humble you. I can go from 0 to 30 grams in fiber in a day and not suffer any consequences, but I know you also do not have that.
That's a tidbit of too much information, but it's all great. So what about you?
I think I realized how many people still think fiber is just like brand cereal. If you think back to old Saturday Night Live, they did this great little piece on colon blow. And so that's how I think of brand cereal, colon blow. Fiber is in your fruits, your vegetables. Please don't peel your fruits and vegetables if you can avoid it. For the ones that you can eat, it's also in beans and whole grains, and it's like actually good food.
Yeah, the bulk of the fiber and nutrients is in the peel.
Yeah.
So it's a great tip. Don't just focus on sad cereals from the 90s in order to believe that that's your source of fiber. Oh my gosh, there's so much to it. I can't wait to.
But if that's how you have to start out, that's how you have to start out.
Let's be real for a second. People are uncomfortable talking about digestion,
which is kind of wild because everyone does it. There's a great book about it and other thousands of books on everybody poop.
But our podcast is not about poop.
Correct.
It's about fiber. It's going to come up from time to time, though, so be prepared. What you eat every day, your body has to process that.
We just don't talk about it.
We don't, but we should because it's really important. It's indicative of your health. It tells you a lot. And if you don't feel comfortable at least sharing with your provider something's not right, maybe your loved ones that are very close to you, it is so important for your health to know what's going on with your body.
Yeah, we'll just normalize the conversations.
And that's what we hope to do. Because when people understand their bodies better, they make better choices.
Before we wrap up, what's one takeaway you want our listeners to leave with today?
Fiber matters more than you think. It needs to get way more recognition than it does. And we're going to prove that to you.
And we're going to make it fun.
And sexy.
And sexy.
And maybe slightly inappropriate at times.
But usually and almost always informative.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us on our very first episode of Friends Fascinated with Fiber
and other shit. If you learned something, you laughed a little, you questioned our sanity, and are now questioning your own fiber intake, we did our jobs.
Make sure to follow us, share with a friend, share with all your friends,
preferably ones who need fiber.
And we'll see you next time.
Stay regular, friends.
Thank you.